If you're someone who's been chronically sick and you recently realized the connection to mold, I'm sure you've heard the term mold avoidance. So let's talk about what the term mold avoidance means. It sounds like it would be obvious, like avoiding mold, right? But not really. We're not out here trying to dodge mold spores. Like, oh, one got me! And it doesn't necessarily mean if there's a moldy building, we won't go inside. And it doesn't mean we screech and scream and panic at the sight of a tiny bit of mold. It's a strategy that allows us to trust our reactions in relation to our environment and have an idea of knowing what to do with it so that we have more power and control over our health. And if you're someone who's realized the connection to mold, but then you've left and you've gotten worse, this is for you because you are very likely stuck in the stage 1, stage 2 loop of mold avoidance. Stage 1 is getting clear and stage 2 is an intensification. Now, these stages are an experiment that you can do to develop your own mold radar and teach your own self personally for you to feel it yourself, not go off what anyone else said, not believe someone else's test, but see how you feel specifically. So the concept of getting clear is basically an experiment. It's not being in the space that made you sick or in a moldy space and being separated from every single item that was in your moldy space. Now, most people don't do this because there's a lot of cleaning products that are sold as like magical mold cleaners, and the non-porous items people try really hard to clean. Now, if you're doing this, you're not doing the getting clear strategy, okay? Just to be clear. So if you're trying to clean items, you're not even doing mold avoidance as stage 1 because you have to separate your body from the items and the moldy space so that your immune system has just a minute to be like, okay, good. Everything that was around me is no longer here trying to kill me. Let me recalibrate a little bit. And then you enter the intensification stage. So when you revisit those items or you go back into a moldy building, your immune system will alert you. Now, if you haven't gotten all the way clear, it will be a very delayed reaction because your immune system is like chugga-chugging along very slowly. But if you did a good job of getting clear and you really truly got clear, you will become what's known as an immediate reactor. Now, this kind of scares people when they don't know how to use it because they get into this state of being almost disabled because every single place they go, they're having severe reactions. And at this stage, people might start to think, well, mold wasn't my problem because I left mold, I left a ton of stuff behind, I cleaned stuff, so it wasn't mold actually. And that is not true. And as hard as this is to believe, your immune system can become totally primed to start flagging tiny bits of contamination and exposure. And this very often looks like anxiety or MCAS symptoms. So the anxiety is going to be, you'll probably have some air hunger, pain upon inhalation, feeling panicky around it. You could turn bright red with mast cell symptoms around contamination or even have really serious digestive symptoms just around that stuff. So if you become more reactive after leaving mold, it's because your mold radar has emerged and you have to work on learning how to use it. What I did to recover, and this is reproducible, and I learned this from Eric Johnson, who learned it from biowarfare military training, and he applied it to mold illness and taught me how to do the same. This is reproducible, but it's very difficult. And people around you think you're crazy because no one believes that you can just feel items. But if you're someone who can believe in like being psychic or intuitive, this idea that you can feel something outside of your body, you have more of a context of like already knowing intuitively that you can like feel something that's not you. You can pick up and sense stuff from like other things or people. And it's that sensing skill that really needs to be developed here, specifically in relation to like mold and contamination and trusting your reactions. So if you're at the point where like everything is blurring together and everything everywhere is bothering you, you really need to be spending a few hours a day outside in fresh air to help recalibrate your radar so that you can work on figuring out what's bothering you. You can get to the point where you just use your radar to figure out what's bothering you. The other thing about this strategy is it doesn't really work if everyone in the house doesn't follow this strategy. If you have kids in and out of moldy schools, if you have a husband in construction or who is a plumber in and out of moldy buildings all the time and they're not willing to follow like the decon strategy to help you keep it out of the house, then you're gonna get slammed by micro exposures constantly. So getting worse after leaving mold is the state of an intensification, and that is your mold radar basically flagging everything that's bothering you. This is not a concept that's discussed ever because anytime this is brought up, people rush to call it trauma. And truly, I understand wanting to call it trauma, especially because the emotional symptoms that are residual post-mold exposure are like rage, anxiety, losing your mind. So I totally understand the want to call it trauma, but please, please, before you just write yourself off as forever traumatized, try the experiments and you can show your body itself how it's reacting. Everyone that I know who is on their way to recovery or has gotten their life back post disability has used this method. I know it sounds crazy. It is crazy.